I don't know why there are wars. I mean, so what if we're different or speak different? It shouldn't be. I could never understand. But I guess we never will understand wars, will we? We're going to call this a day in Lillian's life or something. My name is Lillian Wilson. I was born in England and I came to Canada in 1946. I am now 93. Chamberlain, we call him many names, which is not very pretty because he was a nut and he was the Prime Minister of England in those days. And he was holding up a thing. He went to Berlin and he was holding up a thing that says, "We have peace." 6 months later, Hitler was bombing us and we didn't even know it till the bombs fell. We were still in London when the first bombing was, so they were a different company. But the buzz bombs were those things that they went bzzz, and then when they cut off, you knew, they were near, which you never hoped to hear. You got used to things which you never thought you would, but you did. The people next door, they were elderly couple, and they took, quite a bit of more of their house than ours. So, of course, we went over to see how they were, and, of course, they were just sitting there crying because they were really old, and frightened. And anyway, to cut a long story short here, we ended up talking them and simming them down, and my dad said to him, "You play the piano, play us a tune." If you can imagine, all the buzz bombs are still just flopping around, and here's this man sitting playing Maid of the Mountains on the piano. So we were the lucky ones, actually, because a lot of people got killed at first because we weren't ready. And, actually, the war was different in the sense that we weren't ready. So the first year, Hitler had all his own way, but once we got in America and Canada helped us, well, as we know the result, we fixed him. The very first regiment that came were from, is it Nova Scotia, I think? I'm not sure. I think it was Nova Scotia. I'm not saying they were bad, but they had a habit. They weren't used to the English ale. When there's so many pubs in England, they thought they'd died and gone to heaven because where we live in the little country village, even though it's a little country village, there's 3 pubs. You can always bet your life in England you've got 2 pubs and a bakery in every little town. Well, it was funny, I didn't meet Grandpa till it must have been 8 months later because that regiment went. Then we had a French-Canadian regiment. And so I happened to look across the room there, and there was a soldier sitting there, and he was with these 3 other ones. This great big chubby one had got talking to my friend, Jean. And when I'd been sitting waiting for her, I'd seen this soldier across, and there was a song we had, Anne Shelton sang, Fascinating Green Eyes, and it was very popular. And I look around, and I thought, oh, that soldier's got green eyes. That's all I thought. Never thought nothing. Anyway, I'm standing at the bus stop, and a voice said, "You've missed your bus, Blondie." So I thought, new Canadians, and it's a bad thing now because I'm as Canadian as anybody, but I thought, oh, that's a cheek. How does he know? He doesn't even live here. So anyway, I never took any notice, so I'm still standing there, and he said, "You've missed your bus, Blondie." So I turned around, and guess what I said to him? I said, "Excuse me," I said, "but I live here." I said, "You don't." I said, "Never seen you before in my life. I'll never see you again. Who are you telling me it's my bus? I've missed my bus." After saying that, I married him. Because guess what? He walked me home that night because I had missed my bus. And I must say he was an utter gentleman because it was a long walk, and I said, "You've got a long way to walk back." He said, "That's fine." He said, "If you'll have a date with me." So I did. Well, it's funny because it was to be. My mother always said it was fate, it was meant to be, because, when you're young like that, you forever wash your hair, because I had a long page boy. And my mother said to me, "Girlie, because I told my mother, but I hadn't told my dad, because, you had to kind of break it to him gently that I was going to see a Canadian. So Ron, your grandpa, came to me and he said, "Would you do me a favour? My friend has come next, and he's in a hospital in Epsom Downs, which wasn't far away from me. And he said, I don't know how to get there. So my dad told him how to get there, and he said, would you come with me? And I said, okay. So I went with him, and we expect to see Jerry, flated. So that he's sitting up, he's all bandaged up, and he's sitting up, and he says, I got engaged. He got engaged to the Welsh girl. So, of course, my husband was stunned, because the two of them had grown up together and everything. So anyway, when we were coming back from having seen Jerry, we were crossing, there was a little bridge thing and just a little thing. And so I'm standing on this rail and I said, oh look, that water looks quite blue down there. So I'm looking like this down the water, and all of a sudden a voice said, I don't suppose you'd consider it with me, would you? So I thought he thought I was going to jump in the water. So I said, what, you mean jump in there with you? And he said, no. He said, I wondered if you'd think of marrying me. I damn near fell off the bridge. It took me 2 years to make up my mind. It wasn't an overnight decision, I assure you. In fact, I have the letter still that Grandpa wrote me, saying that, asked me to marry him and, what he'd try to be. And he was a good man.